These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Nwangwu, the Vikings won the division a season ago, but then they lost in the wild card round of the playoffs. How can they make a deeper run this year than last?
We've always talked about an immense amount of talent that they've had on the roster and not being able to put it all together. Brian Flores should help. He's a one-gap guy. He wants to get up the field. He wants to pressure the quarterback. He wants to call blitzes at opportunistic times, and he wants to create and dictate from a defensive standpoint, as opposed to waiting to see what's going to happen and then we make adjustments. So hopefully that helps out. If they play a little inkling of defense, they may have a shot at this division.
Yes.
And dictate football. Put it on a shirt.
Wants to move up the field too. I always talk about marching down the field on offense, but on defense, you want to move up the field.
Up the field, push back. Push back at the offense.
It's an attitude, man. It's an attitude. That's where you start. And we talked about that extensively. And I have to admit, I'm very excited to see this defense when the season starts.
Yeah. So Judd brought not just his old notebook full of notes, his actual phone full of notes for the first time on Purple Daily yesterday, which you can find. We're going to get into a couple things Vikings related from the NFL league meetings that are taking place in Eagan. Just so you know, the show is kind of reeling right now. Judd's figuring out notes technology on his phone for the first time. Declan still doesn't have internet at his new place. He's been fighting with 2 different internet companies and management. And so, we're just trying to grind through the day here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. I feel like Declan needs to take his frustration out on somebody here.
We'll see kind of what happens throughout the show if something triggers my insane father impatient frustration that has been boiling over. I have not put it out on the dog. I've not put it out on my fiance yet, but I was fuming at about 5:30 p.m. yesterday.
It's going to come out sideways at Judd. I predict, write this down, it's going to come out sideways at Judd at some point.
The dog should be fine. I wouldn't say the dog's in any.
No, not when there's sideways angst coming out. No one is safe. It could be It could be a stranger it could be someone from My Talk Radio in the hallway over the refrigerator.
If Holly Roberts has the audacity to say something about Xfinity Internet, I'm just gonna explode.
What are you doing? Stop looking at me. So, some interesting things coming out of the NFL owners meetings in Eagan. So what's happening? Is it all the owners? Like, who's in town here from the NFL? Goodell's in town.
Yes. And so they have their big thing is in March, right? And a bunch of people from around the country, media and stuff, go to that. And that's where the competition committees talk. So that's their big shindig, almost always done, of course. Well, not almost always done in a gorgeous, gorgeous locale, somewhere in Florida or California. This one's the spring one. I think it's 2 days and they're done. It's just formality stuff. They go through things that were introduced for rule changes in March. And sometimes if they didn't pass them then, they'll pass them now. But this is the one that can be held in, let's just say, a colder climb because it's springtime. It's getting to be summer. So, yeah, in fact, I think this whole thing was conducted at the hotel across from TCO.
So they're all staying at the Viking, whatever that thing is. Yeah. What's it called? The Viking something hotel?
Viking Lakes? Is that right?
That's right. So Jerry Jones is just staying on the 3rd floor of
and then he's got
Viking Lake.
And he's got his plane, so his plane is prepared to leave, I'm sure, immediately from
Flying Cloud, probably, right?
No, they all fly
Signature.
They all fly into Signature. Yeah, that's what they do. I remember the day of the Super Bowl because the transportation for us was to go from the Mall of America to the stadium. And I remember driving down 494 to go park at the mall and seeing all of these just beautiful small jets flying into Signature.
They're gassed up. They're ready.
And then they got right out post game. Those people weren't sticking around.
I have flown private one time. By the way, we're going to get to the question of the show here is Kene Nwangwu screwed based on some of the new rules? Are they going to cut Kene Nwangwu, maybe the best kick returner in the NFL, which we'll get to? I have flown private once in my life, and it was the most glorious travel experience. It was just part of a work conglomerate. I was one of 15 people that just we had to get from point A to point B, and there were some rich people that were guiding this trip, and I didn't realize like you just carry your bag in. You don't. There's no like security really or anything because it's your own vehicle that you're flying.
You're supposedly known, so it's not like some dude that's got to go through this whole like pat down and stuff. Because I did it once. So before the 2000 and was it 8 or 9 season, I did a story on the Wilfs and Ziggy at the time in particular, because Mark had a voice then, but not nearly what Mark has now.
When you're the lead Vikings beat writer for the Star Tribune, you get to fly private once in a while.
And the agreement and the agreement was that he would take me. They were going down to Cedar Rapids to fly into the airport there to drive to Iowa City to meet the Greenways, because I think that there had been flooding or something, and so they were going to make a big contribution. And of course, Chad and his wife were there. So it was me, Ziggy, might have been Lester Bagley. It was like 4 or 5 of us. And you are right, dude. I basically pulled into a parking space, walked through a really nice, for lack of a better term, house or shed. I mean, just not a little thing. It's like you're in a really small town. Walked onto the tarmac, walked up the stairs. It was the rich fly like we drive.
And then like when you're on the plane, it's like you're just hanging out in a living room.
Yeah.
And there's just beverages available. And dude, I think the flight was like an hour and 45 minutes or something for me. I was so sad when it landed.
Yep.
Yeah. I bet.
Like, can we just like go somewhere else? Can we just keep going? Let's just go to the coast. I don't know. I just want to hang out here for the day.
As someone who has watched a ton of Entourage and then also Succession on HBO, and I swear, if you probably break down the pie chart, I would bet like 20% of the runtime on that show is them on private jets.
Mm-hmm.
And the PJs, I believe is how they call them on Succession. They literally just refer them as the PJs. I've never flown private. I've done first class once, and that almost ruined me. Because like once you do first class, it's hard to go back.
Too. Yeah,
it's tough to go back to the slums. It really is.
Especially the middle seat. You're just like, I'm in E.
And
I'm in
coach?
28E today.
Yeah.
It's like a 3.5 hour flight. I almost want to die.
Yeah. The best part of my experience was about, and this of course was a very short flight. I think it was less than an hour, but about halfway through the flight, Ziggy got up and grabbed the tray of cold cuts from the holding place. It's like, you want something?
Of course, there's cold cuts on private jet.
It's like, you want something? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take something.
Damn right, I want some brie. And some brie and some prosciutto. Okay. Is Kene Nwangwu expendable because of what the NFL is doing in 2023? So here's the gist of what came down yesterday from Kevin Seifert, your former colleague, currently covers the Vikings and NFL rules and officiating at ESPN.com. So for this season only, for now, they're going to talk about it again next year. A fair catch can be called on a kickoff anywhere. You can call a fair catch in the end zone. Well, you can just let it roll through like always. You can call a fair catch at the 10, the 15. All of it brings the ball back to the 25-yard line. So it's like college football now, or like these pop-up kicks now that are happening in the NFL as a way to subvert, some of the recent kickoff rules. We're gonna pop the kick up, make him field it at the 5, and then tackle him. Right? That can just be a fair catch now. The pop-up kicks. Concussion rates on kickoffs have surged over the past 2 seasons to nearly twice as high as the average offensive or defensive play, despite previous tweaks to the kickoff. Quote from Roger Goodell: "The data is very clear about the higher rate of injury on kickoffs. We've been talking about it for several years. We have not made a lot of progress on this play. This was a step that we think was appropriate to address the issue." And then Jeff Miller, he's the NFL's executive vice president of communications, public affairs, and policy. Good luck fitting all that on a business.
Don't forget policy.
The vice president of communications, public affairs, and policy. He says the league estimates returns will drop from 38% of kicks being returned to 31%. But as a result, concussions should drop by 15% is what they estimate. So
right.
Kene Nwangwu has 3 kick return touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. They might look at him at this point and say, all right, well, gosh, so in his career, he averages fewer than 2 returns per game, despite being a great kick returner. He touched the ball 81 times in his first 2 seasons, including a couple handoffs, a couple I think he caught a couple passes, and then the kick returns. Is a guy who touched the ball 81 times in 2 seasons, most of them on a play that the NFL is trying to get rid of. Does that justify a roster spot?
So here's my question too. Nobody but Goodell wanted this. Like the teams did not. This is very reminiscent of the 2010 rule change of mandatory at the time. It's now become more so, but mandatory 2 possessions unless the team scored a touchdown to open overtime on their first possession. Okay. At the league meetings that March, Roger Goodell showed up and was bound and determined to get that rule passed. Among the teams that had no interest in that rule were the Vikings, who had just got beaten because they didn't get a possession. While the league coaches were on the golf course at their annual golf thing getting absolutely schnockered,
Hell yeah.
Goodell got the owners together and passed the rule through so that the coaches coming off the golf course were told, hey, Roger got it through. See you later. This reminds me of the same exact thing. And so here's my question. Are teams going to, because I don't think we're going to see a ton of fair catches like at the 5 or 10. Like, I think there's going to be pushback here. So Kene Nwangwu, for instance, if you're going to pop the ball up, let's say to the 5 or 7.
Yeah.
Is he going to fair catch it? My answer is probably hell no. Now, if it's in the end zone and if teams now just say, screw it, we're going to just concede and kick it into or through the end zone, then he would be in trouble. But I think we're going to see from special teamers a real pushback here. And I think that we might see more pop-up kicks and say, because I don't think you're going to see a large amount of guys say, oh, screw it. We'll take the ball at 25. It's different if you catch it 8 yards deep, right? But like, if I'm going to give it to you at the 5 or the 10, so my question is, what's the strategy going to be on the kickoffs themselves? Because I think that's going to dictate what we're going to see.
And there's math involved here that I'm sure smart organizations are doing that we're not really going to be able to do on this show right now. But
you're the math guy.
No, I am a math guy, but
Declan and I are out.
Yeah, nope.
Not on the fly here. But here's how I would paint it. So Nwangwu has 3 touchdowns and then however many returns in which he gets to the 30 or like somewhere past the 25-yard line, right?
Yep.
Is the upside that he brings you, including the touchdowns, worth the times that he tries to make a play but gets tackled at the 18 or the 20 or the 21? When you're now guaranteed any kick in the air that goes past the 25-yard line. You are guaranteed to get the ball at the 25-yard line if you catch it, fair catch, or if you let it go through the back of the end zone, right?
Right.
So, like, that's a nice little safety blanket. Okay, we don't have to start the shadow of our end zone. We can start the 25-yard line, and, 3 passes later, we're on the fringe of field goal range. Not the worst thing in the world. Is there enough value in having someone on your team that's trying to go beyond the 25-yard line twice per game or whatever it is? And, maybe he hits 1 home run. He gets you 1 touchdown, right? Relative to like whoever else could be back there. Because it's not Kene Nwangwu or a mannequin that would replace him. It'd be like Kene Nwangwu or Jalen Reagor or somebody who could also score a touchdown, but can also do other things. He can catch passes. And this is where like, I don't think you can just be a one. The NFL is trying to get rid of this play. I don't think you can just specialize in this play. And this, by the way, this applies to, in some cases, a special teams ace on the coverage side. Are there guys like, previously Chris Boyd, for instance, that that dude's probably never going to see the field unless there's an injury emergency as a cornerback, but he's in there on the coverage units. Now, punts aren't going away.
Right.
But most punts are fair catches too. So as the NFL tries to fade kickoffs out, if you just specialize in kickoff returning or kickoff coverage, I think you need to branch out a little bit. Like if Kene Nwangwu could catch a pass on 3rd down, or if he was in line to be a 3rd down back who touched the ball like 6 times a game or something, I'd say, yeah, awesome. And he can return some kicks. But this is the one thing in 2 years across 2 different regimes. 2 different regimes have looked at him and said, he's a kick returner. And we're sitting here like, well, yeah, but like, could you find creative ways to get him the ball? And the Mike Zimmer staff and the Kevin O'Connell staff have said so far, he's a kick returner.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man.
I think he's incredibly expendable at this point, especially if he's not going to be in the offense. He had 18 snaps in the Vikings offense last year. Now, with the absence of Dalvin Cook, does that open something up? Maybe, and we'll figure that out in OTA's training camp. But now with Dwayne McBride drafted, obviously with Alexander Madison being basically RB1, I think he's just log jammed here. And if his only ace is special teams play, and he did log a ton of special teams snaps, I mean, these roster spots are very limited. So I think he's incredibly expendable unless he can figure out a way to get on the offense more.
Like if it came down to, if it was like, okay, we can either we've got 5 or 6 receivers on the roster, and we got 3 running backs we like, and Nwangwu is kind of he's the kick returner guy. We could say goodbye to him and keep Andre Carter, the undrafted edge rusher from Army, or Ivan Pace, the undrafted linebacker from Cincinnati. If it comes down to that type of roster crunch, I don't know that you can keep Nwangwu.
With or without this change, he's going to have to fight. Like he would have to, you can't kickoff returns. I don't care what they're considered now with this rule or without. He was going to have to, and will have to fight for a roster spot because, if they keep Madison, which they're going to, Chandler, McBride's now a threat. So what I don't understand is, for the love of God, why doesn't the league just kill this play?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying. The league wants to. The teams,
I know.
The teams are the pushback, right?
But Goodell's the guy. I mean, Goodell has the power. At the end of the day, he has shown it. He has the power. This is such a passive aggressive torture of a rule they don't want. Just say, you know what, we're going to have, and the two things I don't get, and you can justify them based on injuries. Why don't we have a new form? 4th and 15 for onside kicks.
Yeah, they killed that again.
And do something with it. But I mean, those are 2 plays where there is a justification. Their research, I'm assuming it's not a lie, accurately shows that there are injury concerns and that they are based on concussions, and the league is always under fire for concussions. So why don't we find a way, instead of this slowly, slow but surely, well, the onside kick still exists. Yeah, it does, but it sucks,
Well, so I think what's going to happen, because it is headed in this direction with, for sure, the kickoff. I think the onside kick is so anticlimactic, right?
Yes.
That's why the NBA kind of nailed it with, if you save a timeout, even if there's 0.4 seconds left, you can call a timeout and get the ball at half court and get a shot off, and it's like it makes the game more fun at the end. The NFL could make the game, even if percentage-wise, like if you aligned the 4th and blank with a low percentage chance that equates with an onside kick recovery. Mm-hmm. Let's say a 4th and 18 is the 12% make rate that an onside kick is, or whatever it is. It still feels like there's a shot, right? Onside kick, you feel like, oh, what crazy thing is going to have to happen here there's no chance, especially with the rule change now that you can't get a running start. Like everyone has to start on the same line. So, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to change this kickoff rule for 1 year. The fair catch is going to be put in. They're going to see a 15 to 20% decrease in concussions. They're going to come back to the table next year and be like, hey, look, we all like this, right? The game is safer. We're getting rid of concussions. Not that many people are complaining. And they're going to go from that. One more note on Kene Nwangwu. Why can't he return punts? He's never returned a punt as a Viking.
It's a different skill set, though, because the ball is...
Learn it, dude. You want to stay in the league?
I'm just telling you, there's a big thing because the punts spiral down and the kicks go end over end, and it's seen as... I have not seen a lot of...
Dude,
in my
it's your
time
only
covering
job.
Team,
just practice it with a jugs machine 100 times a day. I don't know.
But the other problem with punt returns too, and I mean, yes, if you're talking about a guy like Devin Hester, okay, he was just beyond skilled and great at. But if you think about it, we have not seen, in my recollection, a lot of Vikings players who have returned both. Bobby Wade was a skilled, he would catch the ball and secure it. Marcus Sherrills, who was, I think one of the best punt returners I have covered as a Viking, didn't return kicks, right? So
is it more about the catching? Because I would think that you should be able to, with enough practice, learn how to catch the different end over end. It's more of a skill set of once you catch it, there's just a short burst, small area quickness that you need as a punt returner that you don't need as a kick returner.
I think what you're afraid of too is that the punt returner has to be damn sure. Like a kickoff return, unless the ball gets punched during your return, you're probably not going to fumble it, right? Or muff it. And if you do muff a kickoff, you got time to recover it. If you muff a punt, you are in trouble. And guys are on you so quick too. So I think that there's probably a concern, and it might be unjustified, but with Kene is that he would try to do too much. And if you fumble a punt, I mean, we've seen this, you are in huge trouble. It's not, so I think that's part of why.
If he also was a punt returner, I would say, cool, he's got all those things covered. Even if the NFL is trying to get rid of kick returns, he's on the team. The fact that he doesn't return punts makes it probably just a little bit tougher for him. Another thing the NFL, is this finalized, by the way? So the NFL apparently is going to hold the NFL draft in 2025 in 2 years in Green Bay.
Yeah, it's done. Done deal. Lambeau, Titletown.
Yeah, hotels are in Green Bay.
Right. Are we going to need another Super 8 somewhere?
There's going to be they're going to be staying to Wausau and beyond. No, there's hotels, but there's not a lot, and there's hotels in Appleton, but there's not a lot there. So no, it's going to be how about this? They come to our town. These rich, arrogant, smug SOBs. They come to our town where I thought we were going to beat them up to get that draft. I thought the whole thing would be like, you're in Minneapolis. Let's make the announcement. It's going to be great.
Would it make more sense to put it in Minneapolis than Green Bay? Just for every, or was it so cold during the Super Bowl that we're just, we can never take an event back to Minnesota?
I think that might be part of it. Oh, no. But I think the fact that you can, because Green Bay being a football mecca, I think what they're going to say is you can't get like a Super Bowl there, but we're going to have the draft there. But here's what I think the key is really, and it's pretty clear. The league is after the television show. So, because it'll look good on TV, right? Lambeau Field, Green Bay, they'll show the Lombardi statue. They'll be showing Green Bay, and people there will be schnockered beyond belief. It'll make for a good TV show, and everything this league does now is based on that. Right or wrong, right? Everything they do is based on how do we package it for television.
I keep thinking hotel rooms, but there's enough residential homes in the area. Airbnb, Verbo. I am immedially prepped for starting right now. If I live a couple blocks down if I live in Door County on the waterfront, about $2,000-$3,000 a night for the Jared Jones family, and we will also arrange private transportation for you. There's going to be a lot of Packer fans making a lot of money off people traveling in to watch that thing. But it's kind of funny that even if you go cover a game, you've covered enough games as a former beat writer. How far away is Appleton from Green Bay?
40 minutes.
So it's very common for even just for a normal game, Vikings and Packers. There's not enough hotels in Green Bay that working media has to stay 45 minutes away. This is the NFL draft. People are going to be staying in Chicago. Like they're going to be. Is there a private jet airport in Green Bay? Would it make sense to stay in Chicago if you're some of these people and then fly private into?
Austin Straubel is their airport, and I know that at one point in time in the last 30 years or so, they actually had to put in a bigger runway for the Packers plane. Because the planes
slide
kept
off
growing,
the runway.
The planes kept growing in size. Well, don't you recall? I think when the Vikings flew into Appleton in 2014 or something, the plane slid off the runway and they were stuck in the plane. I'm telling you, man, this is all about the TV show. This is going to look good on TV because yes, logistically, I think it's going to be a nightmare if you're trying to stay there and Wausau ain't exactly close. And I know a lot of people that have covered Packers games who have had to stay in Wausau.
It's 2 hours away, right?
Yeah, it's probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah.
Madison, you stay in Madison? I guess Milwaukee. What's Milwaukee? An hour and a half? You could stay in Milwaukee.
You might be right about Chicago. You could fly out private from Chicago, fly into Green Bay, and then leave. My guess is that the network types will not be all staying in Green Bay.
They're not going to be staying in the Motel 6 down the
Rich
street.
Eisen will be scurried in and out and probably never spend a night there.
The Red Roof Inn or whatever else.
They got a Cambria now across the way. Nice little boutique hotel there. But yeah,
okay.
It's good. It is. Well, I mean, the last thing that they passed on the same day as they decided to put the 25 draft in Green Bay was 28-day notice starting in what, week 13 now? Thursday night football can be flexed, but you got to give them 28 days.
Is that fair? Do you think 28? I mean, it's one thing from a fan perspective. It's one thing to be flexing
No.
from a Sunday to a Monday or a Sunday night.
I don't think it's fair to fans, but to fans who are going to sit down on their couch and watch it, hell yeah, it's great. But I mean, if you buy tickets right now, and I mean, 28 days, you've got your tickets. And I'm guessing that they're not refundable at that point.
And I think sometimes when you get these complaints about fans, and I do agree, at some point, maybe Mark Cuban was right 10 years ago when he said pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered or whatever. But there are millions of people watching on TV versus 60 to 70,000 fans in the stadium. So you're going to cater to the TV audience. You're going to put the best product out on a Thursday, a Sunday, a Monday. If you can swap a game out that's better for the millions of fans that are watching, you're probably going to make that decision.
And my guess is that what they're going to do is it's going to go from like week 13 or 14, 28 days. And gradually it's going to be like 15 days. And we're going to start it in week 11. But the thing here is, so the Thursday night package is the Amazon streaming package. That thing is going to jump in price now. Because if you're going to give them flexibility, like everything that they do is an eye towards how can we increase the amount that we'll get in our next contract, even if the current contracts are just starting.
Yeah,
I am waiting anxiously for streaming Tuesday night football. I think that's next.
That's a hogs get slaughtered thing, right?
Dude,
let's leave Tuesday to Maction. Let's let the Mac have Tuesday night.
You and I agreed about the Cuban statement on the radio show 10 years ago. And we're like, this is a brilliant thing. Like, it's a very smart take on things. But my God, Phil, they've just kept going.
But part of this is where they need to just at some point calm down on this stuff. Excuse me, because one of the biggest draws to the NFL, I think from a fan perspective, is the waiting between games. That it kind of pisses you off because, oh my God, my favorite team just got done playing and now I have to wait 7 more days in a work week. But that's what also makes it so powerful. The anticipation of the games. The NFL is built off anticipation of games. And so if you're giving people something every single night, I think it dilutes from the product. And you've already, you got half the week covered right now. Like in December, you've got Thursday games, Saturday games, Sunday, Monday, you got 4 out of 7 days. I don't think we need to take over a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. Let's draw a line somewhere.
When they decided to go with again attack, and I don't blame them totally, college football and go with the Black Friday game, I decided we're in for Tuesday nights at some point.
It's the first time that they've
Black. You're really like Christmas. I get Christmas, right? Thanksgiving you've owned and it's been great, but when you're going Black Friday now.
Yeah, but the NFL might say, listen, college football doesn't own Fridays. High school football, they've tried to stay away from high school football. Yeah. And high school football is mostly over by then, right? The state championships kind of are done around Thanksgiving. Isn't like that weekend, or maybe I'm wrong. Isn't that the weekend where some of the, is the Prep Bowl Thanksgiving weekend?
It has been, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, typically.
So maybe they are stomping on the
I'm
Prep
telling
Bowl.
you, dude, they don't care. They don't care. They're the Jolly Green Giant, man. They're just going around with those big feet, stepping on anyone in their way.
So in a second here, Judd has this is the first time Judd has ever prepared a random Viking or a random Minnesota athlete of the week.
Very nervous.
So we're going to do that here. But, I think if you're in the Twin Cities area and you're looking to prep your home in 2025 to be much more glamorous for rich people to stay in like an Airbnb, maybe Finch Home Solutions can help you with that. I don't know.
Absolutely, dude. Look at that truck right there. Cody and his team do a fantastic job. Heck, you know what? I have firsthand experience because I know you're going to be shocked to find out that Judd can't fix a thing. And if it's electrical, he has absolutely no chance. There were the lights in my basement were out. The laundry room, I couldn't see a damn thing. I called Finch. Guess what? They came out fast, efficient, and courteous. And they were done in no time, did a fantastic job. And now that is a bright room where I can see everything I put in the washer and dryer. I absolutely love that. Finch can do a ton of work, installation, repair, services beyond that. You know what? It's that time of year. Storm damage. Let's say you got some outdoor lights or something. They get hit by lightning. I don't know. I hope not. But if they do, Finch is going to come out and fix it in no time. They do great work. 612-357-2604. FinchHomeSolutions.com. FinchHomeSolutions.com. They love PD and so do you. So I want to connect you for the next electrical repair. FinchHomeSolutions.com.
Just want to be clear. Judd called Finch Home Solutions to change a light bulb, it sounds like. I just want to put that out there.
It was those fluorescent lights, and they went out, and I couldn't fix them. I bought new ones to change them. Still didn't work. And I was told it was when Finch came out, I was told
flux
it was
capacitor?
The ballast. The ballast.
That sounds about right to me. Yeah,
Sure.
I don't know
you
what
gotta
it
be careful
was.
with the ballast.
Cody
plate.
and his team know exactly why. That's why you should call Finch Home Solutions.
It's right next to the phalange. Yep. Gotta be careful.
He told me, he's like, yeah, the ballast is out. I'm like, okay, dude, great.
By the way, I know the Twins are struggling, but there's some fun teams coming. So the Giants today, it's an afternoon game, so you're probably consuming this after that game. But Toronto always brings a party. Toronto kind of packs Target Field when they
Best traveling fan base easily at the Target Field.
Winnipeg. That's why.
Yeah, yep. It's like their
Manitoba
national
fans come down. They scored 20 runs last night, gentlemen.
Yeah, they got some bats. Twins bats might need to wake up, but twins.com/tickets. You got the Monday through Thursday meal deals all season long. Twins.com/tickets if you want to watch one of the best starting rotations in the league. And don't forget, too, every Monday on this show, it's our State of the Twins, where we absolutely jinxed Bailey Ober the other day. Twins.com/tickets for your single game tickets. All right, it's time for a random Minnesota athlete of the week. And this is the first time. So I think this is the fourth time we've done this particular. So we've been doing random Viking of the week for about 2 years on Purple Daily. And by popular demand, we've now done 5 random Minnesota athletes: Anthony Swarzak, Kyle Brodziak, Brent Burns, Randy Foy, and Mike Redmond. Judd has a 3-1 lead on Dex and myself, but this is the first time you've delivered the clues.
Old school, not on my phone, but rather on a real notepad. Okay, boys?
Love it. So Judd's going to throw out a series of clues. We get up to 3 incorrect guesses each before we are eliminated. We can ask Judd questions, but my guess is if it's not on that notepad, he's probably not going to answer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And today's team of choice is the aforementioned your Minnesota Twins.
Hey, Twins fans.
Well, now here comes the manager, Rocco Baldelli. Anyway.
Boo.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Boo. Yeah, you know what? Buy tickets. You got the right to do what you want. You got the right to do what you want if you buy tickets. Yeah, or you don't. I'm not quite sure. After seeing Twitter last night, I think it might be bad form to boo or express any dissenting opinion about the team.
There's like a weird Twins
I was pissed off
fan
last night.
Gatekeeper
Media.
How dare you be upset with this franchise? This team was not supposed to be a 90-win team this year.
Well,
it's like, but who? Okay, but whose fault is that? Like, why not? It's the 7th year of the regime. They got Carlos Correa. They got all these guys.
It spills into our business too, which really gets me. The sort of the fans. You know what? That's fine. Like if you're just a fan, but people in our business are not supposed to be so blinded by their, I don't know what, loyalty. That just pisses me off.
You don't need to protect this franchise. It's a professional franchise worth couple billion dollars probably. Okay, the ownership is worth billions of dollars. We don't need to put a protective coating around a team that hasn't won a playoff game in 20 years.
And when people are like, it's a long season, back off, blah blah blah. Here's my complaint. You want fans to care. You don't want fans not to care.
It's time for the random twin of the week here.
Here it is.
Declan's going to kill us.
Clue number 1. Clue number 1, Declan, pay attention. This former twin was born in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Is it Josh Willingham?
You can buzz yourself. I don't have a buzzer.
Okay, I'm going to be aggressive here.
Okay. All right. So Phil and Declan, and I'll keep track. Phil has 1 incorrect. Okay. This former twin, his brother played pro baseball, and he was the team's bat boy. At the pro level in the minor leagues, he played in fact, I will tell you, his brother played when the twin was young. He played in the Mets farm system, and he served as the bat boy for his brother's minor league team in the Mets system.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Clue number 3. He was drafted in the 13th round of the 1991 amateur draft as a second baseman.
Okay,
Yes,
now
Phil,
we're
or
cooking.
no?
Now we're cooking.
Okay.
So,
Clue number.
hold on.
Oh, okay. All right. I just trying to get
No,
through this.
no. We don't need to go. We don't need to fly through it. We don't need to.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to upset Declan. He's on the verge of blowing up, and I don't want that smoke.
So, or okay. So then it means probably debuted around there. Probably okay.
I'm going to tell you that next, by the way.
Okay.
Clue number 4. He made his major league debut in 1995.
I was gonna say probably debuted around 95.
With the Twins?
Boom.
Yeah. Yes, Declan.
Made his debut
He
with the Twins.
debuted with the Twins. Okay.
Yep. All right. Clue number 5. He played 12 years in the big leagues with 7 teams.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
That's a real obscure time in Twins territory there that you plopped his debut right in the middle of like an obscure period.
The decline of Twin civilization. I don't even think we were calling it Twins territory at the time. I think we were just calling it horse crap.
Okay. But you said 13th round. 13th round.
12 years, 7 teams.
I have a guess, but I don't think he was a 13th rounder. I think he was higher than that. So I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna.
I don't want to burn. I don't want to burn a guess.
Right. Okay.
I was 12 years and.
7 teams, 12 years. All right.
Dak,
next
give a guess?
clue.
No.
Next clue. He played more than 100 games throughout his career with 3 teams. So he was and the Twins are one of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Lions
was
my
with
guess.
7 teams. He played more than 100 games with 3 teams. Stop me if you want to guess, or I will just keep going.
That's great. Judd's doing a good job with these clues.
I did a lot of work on this one, too. He hit 72 of his 138 career home runs with the Twins.
78.
Yep. Nope. He hit
72.
72 of 100. So he had 138 career home runs spread out with those 7 teams I told you about, but 72 came in Minnesota or with Minnesota.
I'll take a guess.
Oh God, I got it.
All right.
I'm gonna hear Dex guess first.
Is it Marty Cordova?
It is not Marty Cordova.
Oh God, he did debut in 1995. I had not thought of him, but he was an outfielder. Okay, I'm trying. The drafted as a second baseman thing is throwing me off a little bit here, but there is you get drafted up the middle. You get drafted as a center fielder, a shortstop, sometimes a catcher. Maybe second base is not quite in that category, and sometimes you fan out to other positions. And so I'm gonna guess Ron Coomer.
Oh, that's a great guess.
Incorrect. Speaking of Coom Dog, this gentleman was a 2-time All-Star in his career, once as a Twin. So that does align with your guess, because Coom Dog, through the grace of the good Lord Jesus Christ,
See, if you would have given me that clue,
All-Star.
I would have guessed Coom Dog again.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that, as I said, it's by the grace of God, Coom Dog in Fenway Park was the Twins representative, but this guy was a 2-time All-Star in his career, and once one of those came with the Twins.
So he made his debut in 95 with the Twins. And then
He was out by 07.
Well, maybe. That's not necessarily true. Because he could have gotten a cup of coffee. And then made the bulk of his games could have been played between like 97, 98, 99. And that's a real cesspool of.
Mm-hmm.
But he was an all-star with the Twins. I'll
take another guess.
Yep.
Matt Lawton.
It's a really good one.
Declan Goff gets
Yeah.
it right.
There it is. God dang it. That's great. Was trying to think. Nice job, Declan. Good God. That's right in my wheelhouse, too. The drafted as a second baseman. Really? He was drafted as a second baseman.
I did some
And
research.
I was on it, and sometimes they fan you out to other
I knew
positions.
I knew that would throw you off because I did not have any idea of that.
Okay, can I give you the name that I thought it was maybe Todd Walker,
Yep, that's
That's a good guess.
but he was not. Yeah, he was a first round pick. I thought he was a first.
He wasn't an all-star, right?
He was never an all-star, but he did play for 7 teams in 12 years. 12 years.
Okay,
And he hit
perfect.
107 career home runs. So
Wow.
he's a
Didn't
second
Lawton
baseman.
get popped for PEDs?
Yeah, he
Yes,
did.
in fact, he was suspended for steroids. That's in my notes here. After he left the Twins, I think it was 2005. It might have been with Cleveland, and I think he was an all. And I think he was an all-star with Cleveland. I had forgotten this. So he got traded at the deadline in 01 to the Mets. He finished out 01 with the Mets and then left.
Yeah.
I thought he had played a few years for the Mets, but he really didn't play long for them at all. And the Twins, of course, got Rick Reed, who got hammered by Jim Thome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dex is on the board again. 3 for Judd, 2 for Dex, 1 for old Macadac, the random Minnesota athlete of the week. And I think we might have to maybe throw Judd in the fire on random Viking of the week too. Maybe we should reset the standings
fine.
or something. Going
I enjoy
forward
doing
and
it.
See if we can go. All right.
I love trying to find because I couldn't go too old school, so I was trying to go just right in, basically in your wheelhouse, Phil, and then Declan I thought would probably know it too. So
No, I was definitely the favorite to win that one, and Declan stole.
Oh
it,
yeah,
so
well
it's
Matt
a
Lawton,
great
was
job
like
by Declan.
big part of your childhood, right?
I know he was.
'Cause you're about 10 years old or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, we got to go. We got to write that down. Predictions on another chunk of Minnesota sports with Mackey and Judd, and also on Purple Daily. Thanks for hanging.